Hey everybody, it's Jen. I am bringing you a message today that um, I just feel like my guides and angels are saying we have to bring this message through, and I want everybody to remember, first of all, that there's way more going on than what we think is going on. Right? I've been saying this for months that this is a spiritual battle. It's not just about what is going on politically, and it's not just about what's going on in the US. It's literally so much bigger than that. And we all know that we're going through ascension or awakening or all of these things, right? So did we not think that that was going to be painful? There's going to be things that are not fun that we're going through. And that being said, the best thing that we can do, of course, is focus on how can we individually process what's going on? How can we be in a space that we're really looking for truth instead of just what we want to see? Because I feel like that's happening a lot. That's my guides are bringing me through to do this. That being said, you guys, no matter who is speaking or what is going on, the one thing that you have to look at it is, why am I hearing this message, right? Like maybe the message is to trigger you so that you're aware of different spaces that maybe you didn't want to look at yourself. So I used to always say this whenever I would speak is, if I give you an aha moment, that's great. But if I ruffle your feathers, that's actually better, because that's where true transformation and true digging into what we call the shadow, right? So what are the things within yourself that you're trying to refine so that you can upgrade on your spiritual awareness? So me being a spiritual teacher, trying to help people understand and awaken to the truth of their own beauty and to the truth of their own divine spark, and knowing that we are spiritual beings, knowing that we are loved by God, knowing that we have angels to help us on this planet, all of those things. And then also that the earth is a place where we're supposed to experience light and dark and contrast and the polarities, right? Now, that being said, there's so much going on, you guys. We could look at this from so many different ways. We could look at it from a spiritual awakening standpoint. We could look at it just basically what's going on in the human experience. We could look at it through astrology. Like, there's all of these different ways that we can look at what's actually happening right now on the planet and what we're all going through individually and collectively. Okay, so that being said, I just felt urged this morning, and I know this is what I'm supposed to do because I've kind of had a headache all morning, and just already starting the recording, I can feel it letting go. So I know that I've been resisting even bringing this message today. So I decided to record it first so that I'm not getting distracted by people coming in on Facebook or, wherever I would have went live. So I'm recording this now. I am open to conversation about it. So just so you know that. So what I did this morning was, I felt my guides coming through with a really strong message, and I actually pulled some cards on it so that I could have some clarity moving forward in how to really help people best understand and navigate what's going on. And that being said, I have to go back to the messages that I've gotten throughout the year. So the first one in January, and for those of you that are on Patreon, you can go back and listen at any time. For those of you that are not actually signed up as a member on Patreon, I actually made a few of the messages that were the big key ones for the year open to the public. So you don't have to pay to get these messages. But if you go into Patreon and scroll back, the first one was the beginning of January, and it was an overview for 2020. And in that video and in that message, I don't remember if it's a video or a recording, but anyway, in that message, my guides had said that there would be big changes coming and that old structures were going to fall. Okay. Now, when they said structures, they actually meant government, schools, healthcare, all of those things, right? So we're seeing that across the board. So no matter what, the big message was we have to let go of the old to begin into the new. Now, astrology, we're looking at moving from Pisces into Aquarius, which in itself is like complete contrast, right? And then on top of that, if we look at, again, astrology, we know that the United States as a whole is coming on their Pluto return, which Pluto is all about death and rebirth. So if we didn't think that this was coming, then of course it's like, hello, like just look at the planets, you know, just look at it from that aspect. Now, that being said, you want to try to get yourself out of the way and look at the bigger picture. One of the themes that my guides have been saying for over a month is fly above it, look higher, observe it, try not to get too emotionally attached to it. And so that's what I want to do in this message, is give you what my guides are saying, and then also try to be open and objective about everything that I'm bringing through. So I'm really trying to just say, this is what they're saying. You determine how you take that, right? Because everything, I always joke and I say, it's not about you, but it's all about you, because it's all about the way you perceive it. It's all about the way that you understand it. And it's all about the way that you process it. That being said, I think if you're living in alignment with the divine and you really want the truth to come out, regardless of what the truth is, right? Sometimes the truth is hard to look at. And then remembering, especially here in the States, this is way beyond anything with political parties. Okay. So try to detach from that part of it as you listen to this message, so that you're not getting all of your emotions into it. Just try to step back and look at it from an overview, a big perspective of everything that's going on. Now, I have my phone because they gave me some notes, some keywords over the last couple of days to help me get ready for this message. The one thing that they said right off the bat was accelerated change. And then here are the keywords: corruption, correction, Pluto return, moving from Pisces to Aquarius, karmic balance, objectivity, dignity, grace, transcendence, light, truth, and love. Those are the key things that are happening right now and that we need to focus on right now. Of course, I think truth and love is always the most important, right? So whatever you're doing, if you can do that in love. So regardless of which side you're on, are you lovingly treating the other people? Are you respecting the other people? Are you blaming them? Are you pointing fingers? Are you calling names? Because if you are, that means you need to take a step back and say, why is this triggering me? Why am I so upset? Why is what they're doing affecting me, right? Because that's the whole thing about being in the victim mode, you guys. And that was the other key theme from my guides from the beginning of 2020, was breaking the dysfunctional human condition and radical responsibility. So radical responsibility would be not being in victim mode. It would be, where can I see why am I being triggered? Why am I feeling the need to lash out? Why am I feeling the need to make everybody see it my way, right? Like all of those things are ego, and they're not in true divine alignment. Now, that being said, there's a spiritual war. So you want to be in a space of, am I aligning with the highest and best divine light that I can? I want to align with light and love. Okay. Now, being in light and love doesn't mean that you don't look at the things that are wrong, right? You look at everything, and you have to not judge. Okay. There's a difference between being in judgment and being in discernment. So when you're in discernment, you're actually saying, is this right for me, or is this not right for me? And should I align with something higher? Where can I align with something higher? Versus judgment, saying, no, that's wrong, and they're not doing it right. Okay, so that's the difference. Discernment and judgment feel like the same thing, but they're not. When you come into the subtle energy, there's a huge gap between discernment and judgment. Okay, so just be aware of that when you're moving into even listening to this message or just going about your day. Be in a place, are you discerning for what's right within yourself? And are you aligning what's right in your own heart? Or are you doing that from a place of judging that the other person isn't right? So it's a really fine balance, you guys. But I used like 3 or 4 different decks for this reading. So this was the first one when I said, okay, what is really going on right now? I got Karmic Balance, right? Which my guide said over here that this was Karmic Balance was one of the things that I had written down before I even pulled this card. So it says, see all your cords dissolved by transcendent love and enjoy your freedom. Look for the divine around you. Now, when I read this card, what's really interesting is I automatically am being told, and I actually did pray over this, and I asked for help from my guides and angels as I go through this reading. And it's actually what I heard right away was look for a divine around you. If you're not looking for, if whatever you're looking for is what you're going to find, right? So there's so many different, sayings about this. What you resist persists, and what you're looking for is what you'll see, and like all of those things. So it's just, are you looking for how wrong the other side is, or are you looking for, where can I see the divine truth in this? Where can I find the balance of this? How can I back up and be objective instead of emotionally reacting? Okay. There was something in here that I thought was really interesting. Okay. And this is the dragon deck from Diana Cooper. And it says, choosing this card offers you an opportunity to heal all of your relationships, including those from past lives. It's saying that this is going to help you dissolve cords that tie you from the others. And you guys, I'm feeling this as a karmic reset of sorts. And actually, even as I say that, I almost feel like as we move into 5D, as we move into higher ascension, as we move into higher awareness, we won't even need, there won't be this karmic cycle anymore, because we'll transcend it. So anyway, what I was going to come to is, it says, these great-hearted dragons will help you to see with eyes of love. Look for the divine in everyone and be aware of all situations from a higher understanding. I feel like that's really what this is about. You've got to look at this from a higher understanding and be willing to treat all people, it says, treat all people with greater respect, care, and love than ever before. Remember to thank them for enhancing your life. Again, you guys, if somebody in your life is triggering you, what does that mean? Where can you grow? Why is it triggering you? How does that help you to refine your own self, right? So really be in that space of understanding that this is like resetting karmic balance. Now, that being said, I was like, okay, let's look at what's going on with the two sides. And I'm not going to say which side is which, because I feel like what I'm hearing is like that whole cliche of, you can teach someone to fish, or you can give them a fish, or you can teach them how to fish, right? And one of the things that I do, especially working with all of my clients, is I never tell them this is what it is. I ask them questions to help reveal within themselves what is right, because you have to know where you're at, and everybody's in a different place in their spiritual journey. Everybody's in a different place in their spiritual understanding. Everybody has different soul purposes. Like, there's all of these different things that make us each unique and individual. So it's not up to anyone to tell us what we should think. It's up to us to learn how to discern for ourselves. And again, this goes back to a few months ago where my guides were bringing up the word sovereignty. Like, we need to remember that we are sovereign beings, meaning we get to decide what happens within us and in our experience and how we process things, right? And the one thing that I know I've taught on since for, 10 years, whenever I first started life coaching, was, are you in a knee-jerk reaction, or are you responding? The difference is, a knee-jerk reaction is you see something, you immediately get triggered, and then you're either upset or pissed off or happy or whatever. Like, it could be a knee-jerk reaction where you immediately are blissful and happy. That's great too. But is it a knee-jerk reaction, or can you actually respond to what's going on, especially when it's stuff that triggers you, right? Like, can you be like, oh, that just kind of triggered me a little bit. Let me step back from that and look at this. And then how do I want to respond? Right? Because sometimes it's standing up for ourselves. Sometimes it's just seeing where it triggered us, because that gives us a place to grow. Sometimes it's asking us to actually speak our truth, right? So all of those things can be right. So there's two different things going on here. And one is, well, first of all, it says we're divinely protected. We're always protected and divinely directed. And it says, you're about to enter dangerous territory, so tread carefully and be aware of the surroundings. The path you're on now is one that will challenge you to the core. That said, peril is also exciting and exhilarating, like the danger you feel before entering a new relationship, knowing that you'll be changed forever. This is no surprise, you guys. We knew coming into this year that things were going to change forever. One thing that also has been constant this year from my guides, like, I feel like a broken record, but it's all okay in divine truth. It's all going to be okay, but we have to let go of what was so that we can step into the new, right? And let's see, a new experience is calling to you, and this is one that will test your courage. The choice is yours, but there is a greater value in risk taking than remaining unchallenged. New territories are waiting to be discovered. So we're moving into a new way of doing things. And this is the enchanted map. Okay. Now, the other thing is, I got magic prayer and it was reversed. And this is basically saying that you want things your way. It says self-will that goes unchecked can bring difficulties. Reverse, this card is saying that you mistakenly believe that your way is the only way. Now, you guys, I've talked about this also on Patreon. For, like, the guides and the beings that I channel have been preparing us for this. Literally, I think I've been saying similar messages for almost 3 years, right? They've been saying this turbulent time is coming. You're going to have to shake free of the things that have held you back in the past. You're going to have to see things from a higher perspective. The way things were is not what's going to happen. Like, last year before the holidays, I remember telling everybody, if you're tied to the holidays have to be this way, we have to meet at this house, everybody has to be there, and it needs to look like this, like, you're going to be sorely disappointed, because the way things used to be has to be shaken. It has to be renewed, because the old structures, the way that we knew things to be, needs to be shaken and rebuilt on a better, higher vibrational foundation to be able to withstand the ascension that we're going into and the awakening that we're going through. So this is saying that could the path you're on be leading to a place of regret, or could you be pursuing something that isn't good for you? If so, you may be facing a painful lesson. So it's time to pray and meditate on your highest good and the highest good of all. Spirit may have other plans for you. Be assured they will come up better than you dream up. So if you're stuck in thinking things have to be a certain way, I would really look at that and say, where am I afraid to go into the dragon's lair, right? Like, where am I afraid to go in and face what I need to face, look at my shadow, and move into the light? I'm having a hard time picking these up because my nails won't let me. So on one side, you've got this, are you going to face your fears? And on this one, you've got the reverse prayer saying it doesn't have to be your way. It's actually better if you are open to new ways of doing things. Because if you're stuck in that, everything has to be your way, it's going to be a little bit harder than it needs to be. Okay. Now, I also asked, like, what's going on with the planet and what do we need to know? And I got the flowing river. It's like, go with the flow. Things are always changing. You know, there's like a saying about the river never being the same twice, because as the water flows, it changes. It sculpts the rocks and it adjusts the way that it flows. And so it's all about being allowing yourself to change and go with the flow. And actually relaxing into that, instead of being so, again, it goes back to being so hard that it has to be your way. If that's where you're at, it's going to be really hard. This is saying everything is falling into place because you aren't resisting the drift of the great river of life. It's time to let go. You're entering a period of gracious ease and flow. All is unfolding perfectly with good timing. When you're in a state of flow, you aren't pushing the river to go faster and you aren't swimming against it. Let go of the shore and enjoy the ride. So this is again about letting go of the old, letting go of the way things that we knew, like we knew that this is, it's the whole idea of, no, this is what I know and this is what I'm holding on to, regardless if it's going to stand, right? So be in a place of allowing yourself to go through with the changes, allow yourself to flow with the changes that are coming in life. It says, if you're not feeling the smooth currents of life, it might mean that you're trying to control the situation, or that you're being self-critical and judgmental. So again, you guys, we've got to trust. Now, that being said, I will say that the other thing that my guides have showed me is that there's going to be like two camps, right? And it's not political. It's the camp that is, it's going to be hard because people are going to be so holding on to what they know, that they're going to be struggling against the river, versus the other camp who are like, okay, we're going to do the best we can. We're going to try to be objective. Let's see what we need to see. But also, you guys, my guides are bringing this back to me. I don't remember when I said this, but I know that this was a message because I remember seeing the exact same thing. And it's like an old junk drawer. Like if you have, I have one, that's why I look this way, because it's right there. It's a junk drawer that I have. It's like taking the junk drawer out and dumping everything over, right? There may be stuff that you're embarrassed to see in that. Like there may be things that are like, oh my God, I can't believe that's in there. Or maybe, something has, something is dirty in there or whatever, like you need to clean it out. Well, it's not about just looking in and only seeing what you want to see. It's literally like the drawer is being pulled out, everything's going to dimp out, and we've got to look at all of it so that we can clean it up. Goes back to what they said in January about really being in a space of understanding that structures as we know them have to fall. We've been working from the different energy, right? And we're moving into a whole new energy. Part of the awakening and part of the ascension is understanding that you can do things in a different way. Now, the last 3 years, you guys, in my life is totally not at all what I had planned, for sure. But when I released that and I said, you know what, show me the next steps. And there was some massive transformations that happened. Did I think this is what life was going to look like? No, but is it better? Yes, it's been a total blessing when you let go of the need to control and think things have to be the way that they have. You're in your mind like, this is what it is, right? I have to have a 3-bedroom house with 2.5 baths and, you know, the picket fence in the front yard and whatever it is that you think that you have to have. Like, you've got to let go of that. And really, when you can relax into the flow of life, follow that divine guidance, everything drastically changes. So, not to get off topic, but I've seen it in my own life, letting go of control and just being like, okay, now what? What's next? What's in my highest and best interest? What is the next right thing? When you can kind of get in that thing, that flow, and stop judging everything that's happening around you. Because I know, especially in the US, you guys, people are so wrapped up into the energy of the election, and what is happening and what isn't happening. Like, you've got to get your emotions out of it, step back and say, where can I see this from a higher perspective? Now, that being said, I ended up pulling, this is Kyle Gray's deck. Let me see what it's called. Keepers of the Light Oracle. And, well, first of all, all 3 of these are feminine, right? So we know we're moving into more feminine energy, trying to be more in alignment with that. And then what came up first was hope. And it says love and acceptance. Okay. So I feel like what our guides are saying here is choose loving thoughts. And there's something, you guys, that my guides keep saying about people only wanting to see what they want to see. Okay. I'm going to get the book on this for just a second. Hang on. Okay. So of course, this is what this says. I literally picked up the book and opened it directly to that page. Okay. So this is Kyle Gray's Keeper of the Light Oracle deck. It says, hope is an angel who is dedicated to promoting the idea that we on earth are loved, cherished, and supported by the kingdom of heaven. She is all about helping us see the light beyond whatever darkness we are in. You guys, that's key right now. Like, there's a lot of people who don't want to see what the darkness is, right? It's almost like we have to face that. So going back to the Dragon's Lair card, like, we have to be willing to see what's really going on beneath the surface. And again, this isn't about the election. This is about light and dark. And you guys, spiritual battle. Like, I've been saying that for months, that this is a spiritual war going on. And it's as we go into the ascension, like, the one thing that I heard this morning is it's always darkest before the dawn. We know that that's true, right? So the most important thing is for everyone to keep on to hope. And if you're honestly in a space of non-judgment and you're just asking for the highest and best outcome for all of us on the planet, then you're in the right space. Like, stop judging who's right or wrong and just start asking for divine guidance and start asking for the highest and best. And then be accountable to yourself and start being the highest and best. Stop being, judgmental towards other people. Stop calling names. Still absolutely stand for what you stand for. But if you're focused on love, then it's all good, right? So I think that's the biggest thing is, there's so many people who are getting stuck in the blame game and the victimhood. And if you're not being if anywhere where you're saying it's their fault, then that's victim. Okay. So start taking more control of yourself and your reactions and your emotions. Knowing that emotions, especially, negative emotions, really show us where we're not in divine alignment. So again, not to be judgmental, but just like within yourself, ooh, I'm really feeling upset. I'm really feeling angry. I'm really feeling frustrated. Any of those kind of feelings, whatever it is. I'm really afraid of what's coming, right? Like, there's so many things like that. If you can shift and be in divine alignment, you're going to say, okay, I don't know what's coming, but I know that I have faith that we will get through it. I know that I have divine guides helping me. I know the angels are here to support me, all of those kind of things. So don't forget, above all, that you are loved, and that in all divine truth, it's about focusing on love. Okay. The second card on this one is Lady Venus. And it says, downloads and understanding. The truth is being revealed. Deep insights are coming from heaven and the astral realm. Again, in order to really be awakened to the divine downloads, you've got to get yourself out of the way. You can't be saying, I need it to be this way and I want it to be this side or whatever. Like, again, it's beyond anything in the political party. This is all beyond all of that, you guys. Like, I think my guides the other day said this is a tiny blip in what's really happening. So we've got to be willing to look from an objective perspective. Lady Venus is a twin flame of, I don't know how to say this, Sanat Kumara. I don't really know what that means. She is said to reside in the astral realm out surrounding the planet Venus. Light beings of Venus are coming to light workers on Earth to help them with their connections, understanding, and capacity to share divine love. Lady Venus is a wonderful keeper of the light to call on when you are trying to forge a connection with the heavens or finding it difficult to understand the signs, symbols, and guidance that are being sent to you physically or through meditation. She also allows us to connect with our focus on particular energies so we can understand them more. If you're studying a spiritual subject at this time, call on Lady Venus to help you. When I'm reading this, I really feel like whatever you're finding difficult right now, ask for guidance. Get in prayer and ask, what's going on? What is it showing me? And again, if you're letting go of your need to be right and you're looking at the divine truth and the divine, like, I'm just hearing everything happens for a reason. So if you can just get in that space of understanding, okay, yes, it might be scary to change, but I know in divine truth that it's okay to go through changes, then I think you're going to be okay. The last card I got is divine order. So, which is, it says an important lesson is unfolding. Do what you feel is right. So I just want to see what this says for her. Oh, wait, I'm going the wrong way. This powerful goddess is a figure of justice and peace. She brings order and opportunity to every experience. As a lord of karma, she regulates the law of cause and effect. It's really interesting because I've been talking about that in the Facebook group about spiritual laws. So the law of cause and effect, really interesting. She helps us recognize the impact of our judgments, choices, and actions on ourselves and on the world. It says she's an overseer of legal situations. Justice is an energy that's about honoring everyone involved rather than punishing bad behavior. Lady Portia helps us to do what is right morally and spiritually for our soul growth. Okay, that's interesting, you guys, because I didn't get from this card that she had anything to do with karma. It makes sense that it's about cause and effect. And again, even just with what's going on in the States, the one thing that I'm hearing more than anything is if you can be willing to see it from a broader perspective and look at it from a space of spiritual growth and spiritual learning and spiritual understanding, catch yourself where you're in the space of judgment. Because if you're judging somebody, it's not about you, but it's always about you, right? So if you're judging somebody, what are they showing you? What is the mirror showing you? What is the lessons that you can learn in this? Where are you trying to hold on to control? I see so many people that are like so freaked out that if they can't control the outcome and make it be the way that they want it to be, they feel totally insecure. They feel totally unsafe. And that's not truth, right? Because when you're working with the higher realms, it's always about, that you're divine, that you're loved, that you're safe, that everything's going to be okay. So the challenge, I guess, would be to allow yourself to be in a space of, can I be brave enough to face whatever changes are coming? Okay. It's a big message, you guys, today. I hope that I'm getting it across well. If you can act in dignity and grace, like I'm just going back to the notes to see what they're showing me. remember that all of this is about karmic balance. Again, you guys, that's the one thing that I've been seeing so clearly, is that the way that we've been doing things, the way that we've been doing life on this planet is not going to be sustainable as we move into the higher energies. So you may have been hearing this for a while. It may be brand new to you. Either way, just know that it's almost like going from black and white TV to color TV, right? It's like 3D is only, you can only see 3D. When you move into 5D, you see so much more going on, and there's so much more detail. And the one thing that's, it's like, if you can focus on the subtle energies, right? So focus on the subtle energies, focus on yourself. Where are you operating from? Are you operating from divine love? Are you operating from unconditional love, loving everybody, even though you can see all the fear going on, right? Or are you in fear? Are you operating from fear, wanting everybody to do it your way so that you feel safe? It's a big lesson, you guys, right now. It's a big lesson. And I even resisted bringing it, but now that I've gotten it through, my headache's gone. So imagine that, right? That's what happens for me if I don't listen and if I don't bring through the messages. So the other thing that I would really say is, whoever you listen to, whatever you're listening to, be aware of if they're focusing on love, and if somebody's blaming, or if somebody's I mean, it's so convoluted because there's so much going on in a higher level that we really just need to understand that if we're truly looking for light and love, if our true like personal like agenda, or what, I don't know what word to put there, if our personal drive is that of moving to higher realms and higher understanding of divine love, higher understanding of unconditional love, and really wanting the highest and best outcome for everybody, it may look a little stormy for a while, right? But if we trust that the highest and best is coming, then what we've got to do is just be willing to adjust and change when things trigger us. Because when we get triggered, it gives us room for refinement. It gives us, this is what I call, like, it talks about refinement by the fire, right? You get the impurities get moved out so that you have more room for love. So that's really kind of what's going on from an overall spiritual perspective right now. Again, do your best to be in detachment and non-judgment. Now, that being said, it's not detachment where you don't ever do anything, right? Like, I've been praying for the highest and best outcome. I've been praying for where I don't understand, for clarity to come in. Like, those are the things that you can do to help this process along, is where can I refine myself? Where can I allow more room for love? Where can I see that I need refinement? Where am I judging? Where am I being stubborn, right? Like, all of those things, if you can look within in yourself for that, and if you're willing to make the changes there, then it'll be so much easier to get through whatever's coming. Because I know that as we shift, okay, so I'm just going to go straight to the astrology right now. Okay. So just based on astrology, knowing that for basic, the moon affects all of us, right? So whenever there's a full moon, we know that we feel it on a couple days before and a couple days after. And if you don't think that that's true, ask any teacher or nurse or anybody that works in the ER or any of those kind of things. The police department, they will tell you that before and after a full moon, like right around there, things are really wonky. So if the moon can affect what's going on, can you imagine what the other planets do when they're affecting it, right? We know we're moving into the Aquarian age. This is a shift in the dynamics of the universe based on where the planets are. Okay. So if we know that just the moon can create that kind of energy, can you imagine what the other planets can do when they're pulled? Because, right, it's this magnetic pull on the planet. So when it's pulling against something or shifting, it's going to make a huge change. So things that only happen, like Pluto return, is only like 240 something year, or 240 years, 240 somewhere around in there. So every 200 and something years, this comes around. Okay. Well, think back to 240 something years ago, there was some shit going down on the planet. Sorry about that, but there was some stuff happening, right? There were some big changes happening. Why would we not think that we're going to go through some changes ourselves, right? We're going to go through changes because, and I feel like it's going to be a couple years of really adjusting before we figure out how things should work when they're in alignment with a higher and better truth for everyone. When the systems breaking down might be scary, but it's so that they can be rebuilt with higher integrity, with higher purpose. And it moving into Aquarian age, it's all about taking care of the collective, right? The Aquarius is the water bearer that brings water to everyone, right? So it's all about making things better for all of us. So to finish this up, the one thing that my guides have said for ever, even 3 years ago when I started talking about some of this transformation that was going to happen, is there is light at the end of the tunnel. It's just going to take us a while to get through the tunnel. So know that everything's going to be okay. We're going to get through it. The best thing you can do is be personally responsible and see, where can I grow? What can I do? How can I spread love? How can I add to love instead of fear and anxiety and stress and division, right? So again, whichever side you're judging, look at that. How can you take a step back and see something from higher understanding? So sending lots of love. We'll talk about this in the group for sure. So if you're not in the Embodied Grace Community Facebook group, come join us there. Talk to everybody soon.